friends. Welcome to Scott Fox After 9. Last episode for a week or so. I'm taking next week off. If you haven't heard the news yet, this is the last episode until the 7th of July, I believe. 7th, is that right?
Yeah, it's 7th of July. It's Monday. Yep.
Great. The great Anna Almeida is here. How are you, Anna?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, I'm happy to have you here. I thank you very much, by the way, for yesterday. That was a great chat about boomerangers.
Something I know personally, and you know what? I loved our chat. When I left here, I felt very good about everything that we talked about. And yeah, it's just so nice to get things off my chest, too.
Good. Hey, whatever we can do to help. This pod is therapy for some people. So,
Legit.
Hey, if you are interested in that conversation, I recommend you go back and listen. It's all about adults that have moved out and then had to move back in with their parents. Good discussion. That was in yesterday's episode. Earlier in the week, there was all kinds of stuff on the situation between America, Israel, and Iran. You know, it's funny because I remember being very worried initially when the U.S. launched that attack. And then the next day, we had a ceasefire in place. And it was good because I was confident the ceasefire would hold. I figured there was enough done that it would hold. But I saw all these people sending me like memes and stuff like that, Anna. Like, it didn't last. Iran fired a shot. Israel fired a shot. Trump is a joke. It did last, just so everybody knows. There was a little volley after the timeline, but it lasted, and we should all be happy about that, not willing on World War III simply so you can get something to, I don't know, own Trump with.
Right.
Really silly juvenile stuff going on this week. However, we're at the end of it. Seems like we're in a fairly peaceful time. We're going to do some listener DMs in this episode, and that's going to wrap it up for the week. When I get back, I will have an update on Silent Date Guy.
Ooh!
That's probably a question in the DMs, and I am happy to tell you that next Monday, a week from Monday, July 7th, there it is.
You got it.
I got to remember that date, damn it.
I'll remind you, don't worry.
Thank you. I will have an update on Silent Date Guy because there was a get-together planned for this coming weekend, and I don't know if it's still happening, and there's an interesting reason why.
Oh my gosh, you're making us wait a week?
Well, what? I don't have any details for you yet.
All right.
You just relax.
Hey, I am just like the people we need to know, all right? I guess we'll have to wait a week, but until then, we have some really great questions from your listeners who love connecting with you, Scott.
Oh, I love that. You ready to go?
I am.
Let's do it.
All right.
Before you do,
yeah.
I'm going to close this screen because in front of me right now, I'm watching live coverage of the Bezos wedding, which is taking place this weekend.
Yes, the royal wedding of regular people.
Anna, they're spending $50 million on this. And as it turns out, they're already married. The whole thing in Venice is just for show.
It's just to spend $50 million.
Even if you are an ultra billionaire, the thought of spending $50 million on a wedding that isn't even your wedding, it's just the one for your family and friends, is actually disgusting.
I have to agree with you because obviously they know the state of the world and what people are going through. So to spend this kind of money, it's just tacky. However, had I been invited, I'd likely go because they probably would have paid for my accommodations and you probably leave with a really nice gift bag.
I bet you would. Are they... They did say they want no gifts for this wedding.
Yes.
That's appropriate. You're ultra billionaires. You don't need anything. But I'm sure they're going to be sending the guests home with something.
Of course, they can't let them leave empty-handed. They want somebody to still talk about them after their wedding. They want it to be the wedding of the century. I'm sure of it.
Okay, but I thought that couple over in India that hired Justin Bieber and Usher and stuff to perform, I thought that was the wedding of the century.
Well, the Kardashians went to that. They had a lot of famous people, but I feel like they want to be top dogs. They want to be the ones that everybody talks about. And we have been. I've been waiting. I can tell you that as much as they annoy me, I really can't wait to see what her wedding dress looks like and how much was spent on her wedding dress. I mean, he gifted her $3 million in jewelry, a necklace, and a pair of earrings to wear on their wedding day.
For $3 million.
Now just imagine what the dress will be like and how much that will cost. And the shoes. It's just mind-blowing that people actually live like this.
I just find it so tone deaf. You know, like, good for you. You're rich. He has started a successful business that is thriving. Good. You got a lot of money. You earned it. But I just feel like rubbing people's faces in it. They have basically kicked Venetians out of Venice for this weekend.
Yeah.
They wanted that city for this wedding. They wanted that backdrop. And the people who actually live there are being treated like they don't. I think it's terrible.
That's why I'm happy I'm not there visiting. You know, if you had this time booked as a vacation spot and now you really don't even get to enjoy the city, even if you're into celebrities or not, I mean, that's really like a kick in the face because there's so much security. And I remember when George Clooney married Amal, same sort of thing. It was in Venice. They did the taxis. It was beautiful. There wasn't a lot of backlash, but this one, because it just seems so over the top, letting us all know it's really going to be about 50 million. It's just like, to your point, it is tone deaf and ridiculous. And yet, I'm an idiot and I'm still going to watch and look for it.
Too.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
It's so bad. I
don't
can't
feel
help
bad.
it.
Don't feel bad. I'm interested too.
I am.
I just don't get it. You know what else I don't understand? And then we'll get to the listener DMs. I'm looking at the list of people that are apparently going. Everyone from Leonardo DiCaprio, Orlando Bloom, Oprah Winfrey. A lot of these people are ultra wealthy as well. What are they getting out of this other than saying they were there? It's not like this is an opportunity for them to hobnob with the stars. They're already big stars.
They are big stars.
And
but
they're not friends.
No, I have never seen them hang out beforehand. Usher's there. Like, what do they have in common with Usher? Do they go rollerblading together? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But I think it's, if you've made the list, it's like the royal wedding. If you've gotten an invite and you got to be seen attending the royal wedding, and this is the American version of it, I guess, then it's like, I am the elite. I am that 1%. You didn't get invited? Well, I did. It's just that, like, haha, look at me. That's sort of what it is.
It's part of the reason I just find Hollywood so gross.
Yeah.
Like, in addition to all the stuff I've heard about what Hollywood likes to do at their parties, which is also awful.
Yes.
I just look at stuff like this and it frustrates me. And not that I think that people who are rich are obligated to give their money to charity. I don't feel that way. If you've got $1 billion and you don't want to give a cent to charity, that's up to you because you earned that $1 billion and you can decide how it's spent. But I mean, if you can do a $50 million show that means actually nothing, or you could spend that $50 million and what? Build some tents for homeless people, put some food on the table for people who are less fortunate. I'd much rather spend my $50 million on that than on a damn wedding.
And Jeff Bezos knows he wasn't born into money. He grew into that money because he worked hard to get it. So I get you want to show it off, but there comes a point where you're like, remember when I had nothing?
Listen.
Like, think about it.
If he wants to show it off, he's got his big $50 million yacht.
Right.
He's got his private jet. He's got all these other things. He doesn't need to throw a $50 million second wedding.
It's a 3-day event. Like, one wasn't suffice. 2, not even. 3, yeah, sure, let's do 3. And I gotta say, one of the guests actually complained. I don't know who it was. They didn't say, but it was reported they were frustrated because they had to pay for their own Toblerone in the mini bar. They were outraged that everything was paid for except for the mini bar. They had to pay out of pocket. You are rich. You're at the wedding of the century, American royalty, and you are upset because you had to pay a Toblerone bar. Like, get out of here.
It's ridiculous.
You know, and to even leak that to the press. Like, I feel like I want to smack you with that Toblerone.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Sorry, yeah.
Let's get to listener DMs here.
Perfect.
Let's have some fun on this episode. We're going to cover a wide range of topics. If something comes up that doesn't interest you, well, maybe the next one will.
Yes. All right. We're going to start with Andreas. Hey, Scott, what an episode. At the beginning, when you were giving Carney some credit, I was, I guess Scott needs a bit more time. And here we are. The real Carney is showing his real face. Short story. My parents and brother live in Europe, and when they found out that he became our prime minister, my dad said, clearly, you guys don't read news or maybe don't have access to all the news. Carney will sell Canada sooner than later for his own interest. One example, my son, is the Brookfield tax evasion. How much did he care about Canada then? Note, this is a quote from my dad back in April when Carney won. Well, time will tell, but in a few years, I probably will sell my business and get out of here and get out from here. As much as I love running my business and I'm very happy to own it, I just don't see any future for this country anymore. God, please prove me wrong. I love Canada. Thank you again for the amazing work.
Yeah, how many people feel that way? Anna, I have had so many messages from people recently about how do I get out of here? How do I get to the States? People don't want to be here anymore, particularly the middle class, because they've tried it. They've seen this movie. They know how it ends. They don't want to do it anymore. But there's really 2 schools of thought happening here. I understand fully what he is saying about Carney, There's a lot of people who didn't know who this guy was when they voted for him. And I suggested at the time, maybe that's a good reason to not vote for the guy. People did the exact opposite. They voted for him and they elected him. Carney has a different agenda. He meant it when he said we will never be the 51st state. He never intended for us to be the 51st state because he wanted us to be the next member of the European Union. And he wants to do that because, well, the European countries are all very left. Most of the countries in the Union are, and the leadership of the European Union are left-leaning. And Carney's got a lot in common with these guys. He likes Keir Starmer. He likes Emmanuel Macron. He likes all of those people, those real left leaders, because they have similar ideology. These are people that believe in carbon taxes. These are people that believe in a one world government. These are people that believe in mandatory vaccinations and all these other things, open borders, things like that. Stuff that I thought the vast majority of middle class Canadians were opposed to. Carney wants to not only take us down that road, he wants to lock us in with the European Union. And that's what he's going to do. He got elected, so I guess he can, but I'd still like to think that this is going to be voted on in Parliament because I want to watch and see which one of our politicians stands up and votes with Carney to sell our sovereignty to Europe. And Europe wants us. They know we've got all this oil. They know we've got all these precious minerals. They know we've got all the rare earth. They know we've got all the potash. Europe wants Canada for sure. But that's a much better deal for Europe than it is for us because nothing there is going to solve our problems here. Do we want the European Parliament deciding that we have to lock down our schools the next time there's a COVID outbreak? Because that's what's coming. Carney's going to sell us out to Europe. He already has started the process. It was never about being the 51st state. It's about us becoming part of the European Union. Some people are totally okay with that. I personally am looking down the line, looking at how Europe is functioning and thinking, I don't want any part of that. So people are going to have tough decisions to make soon. If he's thinking about shutting down his business and moving to the States, I get it. I wish he wouldn't, but I get it. And there's a lot more people behind him that feel the exact same way, Anna. If I'm being honest, that's what I'm hearing on the ground. That's what I'm seeing in everything I'm reading. You're either all in with Carney, take us to Europe, or you're get out of Canada and get to the States. Because it doesn't seem like anything can stop Carney from making Canada part of Europe. Again, we are giving up our sovereignty. It's just it won't be the 51st state. It'll be the 23rd member of the European Union or whatever number they're up to.
All right. Well, next up in similar tone, Scott, thank you. This is from James. Scott, thank you for your episode yesterday. Had it not been for you to point out what Carney had announced, I wouldn't have heard or read it anywhere else.
Nobody covered it.
No.
Nobody did. And I still think it was Carney's most important foreign policy speech. And it was the one where he was basically telling Canadians, get ready, you're going to be European. You're going to be controlled by the European Parliament. This is coming. He's doing it. He's doing it now. And nobody is covering it. And I can't understand why. Well, I know why, Anna, because the media is all in on that too.
Well,
this is why podcasts are so important.
Well, he said that to your point in what you just mentioned. He sees now that the media really isn't covering it. This is James. But what I have quickly found out is the vast majority of people who voted him in are completely excited for this change he's about to do. It's like they're completely blind yet again of the circumstances. I do believe that the Liberals could do nothing wrong in the eyes of their supporters. It's quite frightening. Also, thank you for covering U.S. politics. I was afraid at one point about what was happening, but being dual citizen after yesterday's pod, I'm completely patriotic towards being an American and proud of it, looking at Canada versus the States at this moment. So that's from James.
James, thank you. I think Canada is a failed state. We are so broke. So broke in this country that there's really not much we can do for ourselves. I mean, it was kind of inevitable that we were going to lose our sovereignty. I know everybody was laser focused on, oh no, Trump's going to try and annex us and make us the 51st state. Not really. I mean, he would have taken us if we wanted to, but he wasn't going to force the issue. Europe really wants us because they want our stuff. They don't want us. They want what Canada has to offer. He's selling out our sovereignty. It's just to a country the European Union instead of the Americans. Really, we just have to decide which one we want to be part of, because remaining our own sovereign country is no longer an option. It's going to be America or Europe, and Carney is taking us to Europe. If you want it to be America, you got to stand up and say that. Everybody does. I don't want to be part of Europe. And that's where this is going. But everybody has to make their intentions clear. I wish the government would make their intentions clear. Hell, Anna, he still hasn't even come to Canada and announced we're going to Europe.
Because he's afraid.
He's afraid of what's going to happen.
He's afraid.
And he doesn't want to tell Canadians that everything was a lie. The entire election was predicated on a lie. He told us he would protect our sovereignty from America. He never said during the election he was going to sell it to Europe.
No.
But that's what's happening here.
Yes, he's protected us from the U.S., but that's the part.
But, there's also people out there. I try and be balanced, and I'll acknowledge there's people out there that don't hate that idea of us becoming part of Europe. I'm terrified of it and what that means. But I suppose if you're a left-leaning progressive individual, maybe you're all in on that. Maybe you like the open borders and the soft on crime and all the other things that come with that woke agenda. If you're okay with it, you're going to get exactly what you want. You're probably going to be part of Europe soon.
Oh, man. Okay.
Well, the rest of us are moving south.
Well, no doubt. It's warmer there, too. All right. Danya, she writes, Scott, brilliant episode today. Can I just request, although you may never even entertain the idea, a rabbit hole bonus episode? Hear me out, she says. One thing I can say as a listener to the pod, your take makes me think, makes people think. You've had many DMs that you have read that show people are opening their eyes and not just relying on what they see and hear. They're doing the research, which is why things like C63 exist to stop people. IMO. The LPC had a plan.
LPC is Liberal Party of Canada.
The WEF had a plan.
World Economic Forum.
They play it in front of us in excruciating joy. We've seen the plan. It's just not everyone looked into it. So they've shown it, but not everyone's looked into it. Anyways, just saying, if you choose to do a bonus pod, it may be more popular than the Silent Date guy. She wants you to do a rabbit hole bonus pod. Okay, keep it up. Enjoy your well-deserved holiday.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I want to do that because, again, I do try and maintain balance in this podcast in everything I do. The rabbit hole episode would be, tell us what's going on. Tell us what the conspiracy theorists say. And so far, if anybody's keeping score, the conspiracy theorists have been right much more than they've been wrong. And I think it's worth hearing it. I would consider doing it, but I know that there's going to be regular run-of-the-mill folks that listen to the pod. And if that's you, I appreciate you very much. Thank you for listening. And I get it. All you want to hear is that everything's going to be okay. You don't want to hear about conspiracy theories. You'll fingers in your ears. La, 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 la. I don't want to hear it. I personally don't understand that mindset. I would like to have all the information possible. And there's millions of people around the world that know exactly what's happening around the world right now. A plan that's been in the works for many, many, many years is coming to light. And the plan was always to make Canada more aligned with Europe. America, too, but Donald Trump got in the way. That was the X factor that the globalists didn't see coming, is Trump getting back into office. They did everything they could to make sure that he didn't, but he did. And he's going to keep America away from the globalists. It's part of the reason that America and Russia are somewhat aligned on certain issues. The globalists do have an agenda. Do I want to come out here, though, and do a podcast where I tell you exactly what it is? I don't know. Millions of people have already figured it out. You know that. I tell you a little bit about what's going on.
You do.
Does it freak you out?
No, I feel better knowing, to be honest, because can I be honest? I was definitely, as I've gotten older, my perspective has changed and I want more information. But because the world is so crazy, I understand that people are putting their fingers in their ears and saying, just tell me good news. That's not realistic. So I appreciate you telling me. I'm not freaked out, but I'm definitely more open-minded to the situation.
If I told you that you see Carney and Carney's the prime minister and he's got his cabinet behind him and that's the government. But then I told you, but there's a few extremely wealthy individuals around the world, families that have bloodlines that go back to the time of Christ. And those folks, their descendants that are still around and ultra wealthy, They've got a different agenda. But because of their money and influence over the politicians, they're actually the government. Mark Carney now, Justin Trudeau before him, were really just the puppets that were there to sell it to the people and try and make the people get on board with it. But at the end of the day, these ultra rich folks, the globalists, the ones that run in the background, they're actually calling the shots. They're the ones who are deciding things. If I told people that Carney's not actually running this country, he's the prime minister, but he has a boss. He answers to somebody else. And that person is not even Canadian. That person is overseas or in California. Mm-hmm. And they have a different idea for how the world should run, and they're controlling our government. If I told people that, it sounds so pie in the sky crazy that they want to cancel me. Oh my God, he's lost it. Scott has finally frickin' lost it. He thinks there's a shadow government that's running in the deep state that's running things, and Carney's not actually the leader. I mean, we're both right. Carney is the leader, but they call it the deep state or a shadow government. It's the people who are really calling the shots. Who owns the world?
Right.
Who owns it? Somebody does. Or a collection of people do, and they call the shots. Like, we like to think we live in a democracy, but at the end of the day, we really don't, because there's a plan in place around the world, and it's been playing out for years. That's a conspiracy theory, and I think that's one of the ones that really scares people because they don't know it or understand it. They don't want to hear about it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh
like, I could go on and tell you everything I know or everything I've heard. I don't believe it all, but certainly I've seen enough evidence to say that a lot of it does check a few boxes. It adds up. If I went on here and said that, half the audience would think I'm crazy.
Well,
like, how do you convince people that conspiracy theory that they've been warned against for years is actually true? How do you do that? Can we start with like 9/11?
Oh my gosh.
Can we all agree that 9/11 was planned? It was an inside job. Like, there's just no way that everything that happened on September 11th, 2001 could actually happen. It was a well-planned thing. Our government lied to us. They're still lying to us about it. But again, it's that conspiracy theory thing that if I say it, then I'm going to look crazy. And I don't want to look crazy. I try to be a nice, normal, run-of-the-mill, balanced guy and tell you the facts as I understand them. But I know a few things, and other people know them. Millions of people do. But some just don't want to hear it, or they haven't been exposed to it. And because they haven't been exposed to it or heard it from enough of their friends or followers on social media, they just say it's not real. I don't know. I don't know how to convince people.
I got to say, you're not crazy. I think it's interesting to have different perspectives, and maybe I'm crazy, but I've always believed the president, the prime minister, they're just the face of the operation.
Right.
I always believed there was somebody else at power, and they were just the ones that went out to say what they needed to say on behalf of the people and get it done. That's always been my personal opinion. Because yes, it's great that you get to be voted in and you get to make decisions, but there's always a plan in motion. And Trudeau, unfortunately for him, he's going to go down being the worst prime minister, and that's the plan. So then we were so focused on Trudeau getting out that everybody thought this guy was the savior. I was hopeful as well, and it's turned out to be very different. So this was a little touch on that little rabbit hole, but I appreciated it.
I hope I didn't turn anybody off.
I don't think you did.
Guys, I do not want to make this a conspiracy theory podcast, but at some point you've got to acknowledge that millions of people believe in the deep state. That even though we see a president and a prime minister and a UN and all these other things, they're not actually in charge. The people who own the place are calling the shots. And these people can pick up the phone and get the president of the United States on the phone. He'll answer on the first ring.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Okay, here's the plan. Let's go.
That's honestly, I've always believed in that. And I think it goes all the way back to the assassination of JFK.
A lot has to do with the assassination of JFK.
Honestly, I just really think it's all the way back. But I'm one of those people, I love reading all about history and all the different things that come into play. But it's important to know more than just what's presented to you.
I have an acquaintance who's coming over tomorrow. Ooh. And he actually is my go-to conspiracy theory guy because he's very, very up on these things. And he spends a lot of time looking into different theories that he's heard and researching different bloodlines and things like that. And I mean, from JFK to the Titanic to 9/11, there's so many different things that have been done because when these things happen, when there's crisis or when there's danger or whatever, we all rally behind our government. Oh, protect us. Oh my God, somebody bombed the Twin Towers. Go get those bastards. I mean, or just orchestrate it. Take out a lot of insurance on these buildings that you'd like to knock down anyway. Fly some dead-end airplanes into them. And there's your excuse to go to war with Afghanistan and half the Middle East. These are the... I won't go any further, but...
It is interesting, though.
I would just encourage everyone to keep an open mind. And when somebody comes out with an alternate theory, use critical thinking, consider it, and ask yourself if it passes the smell test. And maybe it doesn't. Some of these conspiracy theories are wrong. Some of these people are just plain crazy.
Yep.
But there's a prevailing story that a lot of people know and understand, and it's been playing out for hundreds of years, and we just happen to be at the apex of it at this time that we all find ourselves on planet Earth.
Well, and that's just it. And there's so many movies and, on storylines about that, TV shows. Like, it's coming from someplace. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there, too.
If I told you that the movie Eyes Wide Shut is not some Hollywood fantasy, it's more like a documentary than anything else, some people will think, what? That's stupid. No, it's not. Watch Eyes Wide Shut. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Watch that movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth to it.
Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code's another one. Watch Squid Game.
Oh.
What if I told you Squid Game is actually a true story? Or based on a true story?
It's crazy.
Hunting people.
Yeah.
Look into it. Look into it. I don't believe that they're all true, but there's some truth to the common story. And I think people should do it. I just don't know that I'm going to do it on this podcast. There's got to be other podcasts out there that do this shit, don't they?
I'm sure there is, but it's a nice way for people to have an open mind if they've never thought of it before.
I'm in the exact same spot as Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Let me put it that way. Joe knows exactly what's going on. In fact, he's probably got way more info than I do because he's got the ear of Elon Musk and Donald Trump and all these other people that know for sure, like confirmed. They know. Joe knows. But Joe knows he's going to alienate a massive part of his audience if he starts telling people the truth. It may even put a target on his back. So he doesn't. Joe knows, but he doesn't do it. He'll bring guests on and they might allude to it, but he himself is not going to do it. And nor am I. I don't think, in my closest estimation, I don't think I'm going to do it. But I am going to learn some stuff this weekend. And if I have something relevant that I can at least come close to fact checking before I give it to you, then I will. But I think everybody should just keep an open mind to some of these other theories because there is a lot of truth to some of them.
All right. Well, here's something else for you. Joey. Hey, Scott, a question for your Friday DM. In the past decade, it seems like Canada has gone downhill in many ways. Housing, immigration, cost of living, failed governments, etc. Why should people stay in Canada? What are the red lines that would convince you personally to move away from Canada? That's from Joey.
I do think, by the way, if Canada is in a situation where Carney's just got to put his name on the dotted line and we're European, that'll be a red line for a lot of people. A lot of people will say, I'm not going to be European. I'm out. I think if Donald Trump came out and said, okay, Canada, you voted for this government. This government wants to make you European. Apparently you don't like us Americans anymore. Fine, go ahead and be European. But for 1 week only, cross the border now, and we'll give you immigration status. I think you'd see minimum a few million people move in that week. They would just drop what they're doing and make a run for the border. A lot of people would. There's prosperity there. There is hope there. There's affordability there that we don't have here anymore. People can't get ahead here. And that's the problem. The people who are calling the shots in Canada did not navigate this properly because they've got an extremely unhappy middle class. The middle class is not getting further ahead. There's some rich folks that are doing great. There's some poor people who live on handouts from the government. The rest in between that have to work and fund this entire operation through excessive taxes, they've had enough. I don't know if the European Union thing is going to be what pushes people over the edge or if it'll be a major world event. But I'm telling you right now, here's a warning to President Trump. If you open up the border to Canadians, you better get ready for a few million people because I estimate it'll be at least a few million that make a run for the border. As for me personally, when I just can't do it anymore, we're going to go into a recession. We're in one, but soon they'll have to acknowledge it. I think the housing market is just going to take a complete dive. People are going to be underwater on their mortgage, meaning the mortgage is more than the house is worth. And I think people are just going to throw away their keys and leave. It's the way I see it going. Personally, a lot of people will. And it's sad. It didn't need to be this way. We had another alternative, an alternative that was going to take advantage of our resources and tap into them and make our country prosperous. It wouldn't have happened overnight, but we would have been on a path to prosperity and be able to see some light at the end of the tunnel. I don't think we have that anymore. I don't think the people in Ottawa care about the middle class. We're just the feeders. We're just the ones that pay the taxes and pay the bills. But ultimately, they don't care what we think because they're going to do whatever it is they want to do. Sad, but I guess this is it.
And they're on vacation.
And now they're on vacation for months, right? Like, obviously, they don't care. They told us it was an emergency. You know, remember when I told you, just an example of 9/11, what if it wasn't just some hijackers with box cutters that hijacked those planes and with fighter pilot precision flew them into buildings? What if it was intentional? What if they did intentionally fly those planes in there and the powers that be let it happen because they knew that once that happened, that was their excuse to go into Afghanistan? Mm-hmm. What if it isn't just 9/11? What if it's a lot of different things? What if they convinced us that a cold is so bad and so deadly that you need to take these vaccines? It's exactly what they did. We had a flu problem between 2000 and 2003. It was called COVID. It was a bad flu. I don't know that many people needed to get vaccinated, not on the scale we were doing it. But when you create an emergency and then offer a solution, people love it. Don't worry about this virus. We've got this new vaccine. A lot of people took it thinking that was the way out. And it turns out it wasn't. COVID ended because COVID ended. Because people stopped caring. Not because of vaccination. In my estimation, anyway. I don't want to crap all over people who believe that shot is safe and effective, but it wasn't, as far as I'm concerned. Another example, we've got 9/11, we've got COVID and these vaccines. What if the government just convinced us that we were about to be taken over by the Americans, and they did that to get us to rally behind them and protect our sovereignty? But what if they never intended to protect us from the Americans? They intended to merge us with the Europeans. It's kind of what happened. We've seen it play out. I mean, you just can't deny that. They told us the biggest threat to our sovereignty was Donald Trump. But they did that so that we would give them unfettered power so that they could take us and join us with Europe. Again, some people are okay with that, but some aren't. It was a false premise, and people bought into it because you're supposed to trust in your government when there's a crisis. If they keep creating crises to offer us the solution that they want us to accept, it makes perfect sense, and we keep falling for it. We're just mice on a wheel. We're not getting anywhere. They create a problem. They offer a solution. We thank them for the solution, but that's what they wanted to do anyway. That the crisis is just how they get us on their side and allow them to do it. It's pretty brilliant if you think about it, but it's not fair. It's very dishonest to the people, the way I see it anyway.
Well, and speaking of Donald Trump, Corey, she writes, love the pod, especially the ones that go over time. And I really do appreciate hearing your perspective. You've changed my mind on some things and had me disagreeing with you on others. You have asked how we were feeling. Overall, I feel like things are about to get better. As far as the United States goes, I do believe in the next few years there will be a change in how we have to deal with them. I don't believe President Trump wants to negotiate with anyone. He's creating an island for his country, which is extremely sad, as I do love the United States. So my question to you is, what if that's correct? What if President Trump is an evil person who is creating fear and hate to manipulate people? His truths alone are despicable. That's from Corey.
Yeah. Corey, I don't have a lot of time for Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. You know, when he first got elected, I thought, okay, he's finally going to clean up America and solve their problems. And they had a massive problem with an open southern border. They had a lot of problems that were kind of similar to ours. But Biden and Trudeau were extremely similar, so that's not unexpected. Trump coming in to clean that up, I thought that was great. The tariffs thing, I think he is so far out in left field on this. And I think he screwed us, like completely screwed us. This tariff thing, I think he thought that this was his major ace in the hole for negotiation. I disagree with you on, what was the name again?
Corey.
I disagree with you on he's trying to isolate America and just make them their own and self-reliant and they don't need the rest of the world. I don't think that's his play. I do think that this was intended to A, get money in the door for America, and B, I think that this was the ultimate trading thing. You know, if you don't like these tariffs, then you're going to have to make us one hell of a deal. And I think he probably did get a good deal for the American people in the vast majority of cases. But it was the way in particular he went after us here in Canada. We're not just anybody. We're your friends. We're your neighbors. We're your allies. We're the ones. You jump, we jump. You take somebody on, we take somebody on. We've always been there behind you. And for him to treat us the way he did, I think it was despicable. And it was a gross miscalculation on his part because it backfired in a lot of ways. It got Mark Carney elected. Didn't it? Think of how different things would be. I'm still shocked that seniors fell for it, by the way. I am still shocked. When you look at the amount of money that was on the table for seniors from the Conservatives had Pierre Poilievre won the election, the ability to make an extra $10,000 a year tax-free, the tax diversion or the pension diversions and things like that, seniors would have been so much better off. But they got their elbows up because they were convinced there was an emergency, and seniors are the ones that keep falling for it. Young people, I think they're starting to see through it. Would I ever deal with the Americans again? I'd rather deal with the Americans than the Europeans, personally. Let me just put one thing out there. And I know, Corey, you don't like Donald Trump. I can tell from the tone. I don't really like him either. But what if he's the good guy? What if he's the one who's actually trying to stop this globalist agenda? What if he is, even though he comes off as a total a-hole, what if he's actually the one fighting the good fight? And we're just going along with an agenda that has been long planned, and we're just going to end up as part of Europe and another territory. Europe's going to pillage us for oil and natural gas and precious resources and things like that. They're going to pillage us. And they'll be able to once we're part of the European Union. What if it would have been the Amcan fortress with Trump? What if we would have been this energy superpower if we'd gone with Trump? Probably would have been the smarter play. But there's so many people that just can't see past their hatred of Donald Trump. And again, I get it. He deserves it. If you're a Canadian that doesn't like Donald Trump, get in line behind me. I don't like him either. Not for the way he treated us. It was completely disrespectful and unfair. But overall, I think I'd still rather be American than Canadian, or American than European.
All right, that's some food for thought. We're going to move on to Rob, who says, "Hey, Scott, great job on the podcast. However, admittedly, I've not been listening as much since you took a turn from the politics talk. I've really enjoyed getting back into the geopolitical issues and how it affects Canada. The Prime Minister of this country is basically handed a blank checkbook to go out and spend and make friends across the world in the interest of his own pocketbook and power-hungry agenda. P.S. I haven't heard much talk lately about Alberta separation, which I'm really interested in because joining the U.S. would be amazing. Canada that's a Canada that's united with U.S., whether on sovereignty or in partnership with common economy, common military, more importantly, a common currency, and take charge leader that gets stuff done. Sorry for the long-winded message. I've got a lot more to say, but I'll leave it for another day.
We could have done that. We could have had the common currency. We could have had the shared military. We could have had the shared resources. We could have even taken away that border as far as the formality of crossing it. Like, there's a lot of different things we could have done. We just had to get a deal done. Unfortunately, our opportunity to make a deal with the Americans is now gone. That window is closed, and this government in Ottawa has no interest in making a deal with Trump. That's why we will not have a deal with the Americans until after the deal with the Europeans is done. Read me the first part of that question again.
Yes. So the Prime Minister of this country basically handed a blank checkbook to go out and spend and make friends across the world in interest of his own pocketbook.
Yeah, we don't even know what his assets are and his conflicts are. He hasn't disclosed them. I mean, how is that even a thing? Yeah. It's remarkable that we would vote for this guy if we didn't even know what his conflicts are. He's still very much intertwined with the businesses he had. It's just they're in a blind trust, or however he wants to call it. I think Canada got it wrong this time. I do. And that's not just sour grapes, because it's well known that I am a conservative. I would have preferred that Pierre Poilievre won this election. Alberta separation, that's what it was.
Yes.
I think Alberta's going to separate.
You do think, eh?
I think they're going to become the 51st state. Alberta's going to become the 51st state. And we're going to have an Alberta and probably a Saskatchewan, maybe a BC as part of America, and the rest will go to Europe. There's no way the Americans are going to let all that oil go to the Europeans for free. And I think that in Alberta, they're weighing their options. They're in a great spot. They've got all the leverage in the world. You know, they've got a couple different forces that want them. The problem is Canada gets so uppity every time they hear the thought of Alberta separating and they want to blame Danielle Smith. I think everybody should be embracing Danielle Smith right now and making them want to be part of us. When Quebec threatened to separate, everybody ran to Quebec. Don't leave, don't leave. As soon as it comes up with Alberta, it's like, well, if they want to leave, screw them then. And they're not taking this and they're not taking that. How about we dial back the rhetoric and start working together as Canadians? I would like Canada as is to stay together and remain a sovereign country. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen because that's not what this government wants to happen. They want to take the whole lock, stock, and barrel and make it European, make it not accessible to the Americans. America's not going to deal with that. And I don't think Albertans are going to deal with that. All they want to do is sell what they've got. All they need to do that is a pipeline and repeal a few laws that have gotten in the way of that. We've completely stood in Alberta's way when they wanted to be prosperous over the last decade. 10 years we've been screwing them. Well, they just kept paying money into equalization to top up the other provinces. It's not fair, and they've had enough. I understand that. I don't think this approach is going to work. This screw them then if they want to leave, and they're not taking their pension, and they're not taking this, and they're not taking that. I think we should totally change our rhetoric, and we should start telling Alberta, we want you to be part of Canada. We want you to be the driver of Canada as far as our economic engine is concerned. We need Alberta. We can't remain this sovereign country without Alberta, despite what these so-called economists and experts say. If push comes to shove and Canada goes to Europe, Alberta's gone. And they'll probably take 2 or 3 other provinces with them. They're going to become American. They will be the 51st state. And I think deep down, Donald Trump knows that. You know, it's one thing to say to the Albertans, you can vote right now on whether or not you want to remain part of Canada. And if you're not, you'll become an independent country or you'll be absorbed by the Americans. It's a little bit different if you ask them, would you like to be part of the European Union or would you like to be American? They're going to pick America all day long. If the patriotism to Canada doesn't exist because Canada's basically a failed state, they're going to go America. The country as it is now isn't going to exist unless something drastic changes soon. It's not going to exist by even the end of this decade. I think Alberta's gone, personally. And I don't blame them, to be honest with you. I don't know where Ontario's going to go. We're pretty left progressive in Ontario, the vast majority anyway. Maybe Ontario ends up as part of the European Union and Alberta ends up American. How's that going to work? It's silly, but that's kind of the way I see this going.
My gosh, you could teach a class.
If we stay on this path to make Canada completely reliant and in lockstep with Europe, I think a lot of Canadians will want to leave, and I think Alberta will.
Okay.
That's my prediction anyway. Hopefully I'm wrong. God, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But that's the way I see this going as I look down the line.
All right.
And I think Danielle Smith is doing a great job preparing Albertans for that.
You do, eh?
Well, right now, it's all talk, right? She can put something, but it's not even her. There are a separatist movement in Alberta. And Danielle Smith isn't necessarily disavowing it because there's a lot of people that feel that way for many different reasons. Every time they bring it up, it'll get shot back down. Then they bring it up again and it'll get shot back down. But eventually they're going to bring it up to a point where enough people will have heard it and thought about it and realize it is common sense. If we got to pick, do we want the UK running Alberta's oil, or do we want Washington running Alberta's oil? I think they're going to take Washington because they'll have a bigger seat at the table. They'll have senators. They'll have congressmen. It's the way it's going to work. It's the way it's going.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a lot to take in, but
I'm sorry. I know it is, but
no, but it's a good point.
This is just what I see happening, and I'm sure there's other opinions out there. Some people probably think that's crazy. Alberta's not going anywhere. Oh, we're never going to be part of Europe, Scott. Okay, let's see. Okay,
yeah.
Let's go through this exercise and let's reconvene in 2030 and redraw the map of Canada and see if it looks the same.
Gosh, damn. To me, I just hope, like you hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong.
It's
but
just
man, the way the things are looking, though, nothing would surprise me.
There's a lot of foreshadowing. There's a lot of posturing right now, and it's all for an end game. America wants Alberta, not necessarily all of Canada. They'll take us, but Alberta is going to be the 51st state.
All right. 2030. By the end of 2030, let's see what Canada looks like. That's 5 years. That's not that long.
No, it's not.
It's not that long. All right, Stu, pod is sounding good, Scott. You have found your groove now. I just wanted to know if it's just me or anyone else really feel that we got screwed by the NDP, primarily Jap Meat. So Drake called him a goof, and I understand why. He wanted to do anything to get that pension. He told us he was going to get us free dental care, Canadian dental care plan. I have been waiting for a very long time to go to the dentist because it's just simply not affordable in my circumstances. I don't have private insurance. I have been waiting to qualify for the CDCP as my age group was the last to qualify in the rollout phase. So I call the dentist and I find out we got scammed by the goof and the Liberals too. It's not actually 100% free, even if you qualify for 100% coverage. It's called balanced billing, a fancy term for we scam the taxpayers by passing a bill for dental care where dentists are not mandated.
I don't know a whole lot about how this dental care program works. And full disclosure, I do have dental benefits through work, so I don't have to worry about this per se. I think that a couple of things. If we were smart, I don't know why there's not a national benefits plan. Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny because if you've got a big company, if you have like 500 employees and you go to an insurance company and say, we want to take out our benefits with you, the more employees you have, the bigger the discount is. Imagine a whole half of the country taking out those benefits. It doesn't need to be unaffordable. I thought we were on a path to doing that because it's not just those who don't have the money. It's also self-employed individuals who don't necessarily have those benefits either. A national benefits plan just makes perfect sense, and I don't know why we wouldn't do it in a country that's supposed to offer no-charge health care. I don't know how the dental program works, but I do agree we got screwed. I think Jagmeet Singh is scum. I really do. I don't see it any other way. He was implementing an agenda. He worked with Justin Trudeau. It seems like they were at odds. We'll bring you down unless you do this. I think that was all part of the plan. And the Liberals were quite happy to do it. The dental care, the $10 a day childcare. And arguably, those were good things for Canada. There's a lot of people benefiting from this dental care to the point where I used to be critical of it because it was just too expensive. There are a lot of people using it. I wouldn't want to lose it at this point. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily want to expand it, but I don't think we can take it away. We still don't have the $10 a day childcare. We got screwed on that. We still don't have a lot of things we were promised. We did get screwed. Jagmeet Singh, I think, was a major part of that. But we have to make do with what we've got now. I think a change of government would have been the smartest thing we could have done and get a fresh set of eyes on it. Even if it's one term, 4 years. I think a lot of progress and a lot of fixing would have been done to make people feel better about Canada right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can I just ask you something totally? Sure. Can this be an Anna DM for Scott?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if this is a stupid question. But why is Canada endless terms? Why is it not like the U.S. where 4 years and 4 years you get reelected, and after you complete 4 years, you can't 8 years you can't get back in?
We don't have term limits in Canada.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there should be, especially now after we've seen everything we've seen. I think that there should be term limits. The problem is our structure of government isn't the same. They elect a president. We don't elect a prime minister. We elect a party, and whoever leads that party is the prime minister. That's why it's a little bit harder. Not impossible. You put some smart people in a room for an hour and they'll figure it out. Yeah. But there's no will to do that because, well, Trudeau was in power with minority governments for 10 years. He only ever won one majority and then two very suspicious elections after that. I don't think he had a mandate to do any of those things. Term limits would have at least kicked him out after the second term before any more damage got done. The problem is the deep state. Remember I talked about them earlier?
Yeah.
They want certain things done. And if they get a guy in there who can do it, they're quite happy. They're not going to push for term limits. They want their guy doing their thing.
Okay. I was always wondering. Thank you for answering that. All right. Next up, we have Rochelle. Hey, guys, just listened to Thursday's pod about the boomerangers. While I agree with everything you said about that, here's another thought along the same line. What about parents that can't ask their kids to move out in the first place because of this economy? I have one in third year university, another just graduating high school. They are more expensive now than they were little. And the CTB, the Canadian
tax benefit,
thank you, ends when they're 18. All right. However,
child tax benefit.
Yeah, child. That's right.
Yep.
And however, as Scott pointed out more than once, there's not a lot of jobs out there for the youth. I'm thankful mine are both employed by McDonald's, but to be honest, they don't get enough hours to really save up for their post-secondary education, let alone help me pay rent and bills. I would very much like to enjoy my adult life and do what I would like, possibly relocate, but feel like I can't because I need somewhat to support them financially with a place to live. I just don't see it changing in the next 5 years. Thoughts? That's from Rochelle.
Well, nothing's going to change in the next 5 years because we're not building like they said we would. You know, how many houses got built today? How many houses got built yesterday? Because we had to build like 160 a day or something like that.
That was outrageous.
I'd be willing to bet the number is zero.
Yeah.
0 houses got built. So we're way, way, way behind already. Building more houses was never the solution. I don't know what to do there. I really don't know. Like, I really sympathize with that. And you feel trapped, right? You're at a point where you should be able to downsize, cash out some of the equity on your house, move into something smaller, maybe get a place down south and have a condo here. Lots of people have been doing that for many, many, many years, but it's not reality anymore because you got to keep that house because your kids can't leave. And they can't leave because there's not enough jobs that pay good enough for them to go out on their own. It's going to take too long to save up for a down payment. And the price of housing is too unaffordable anyway. I don't know what you do. You're basically trapped. This is another problem that nobody in Ottawa is paying attention to because it's a middle class problem. Rich people don't have that problem. Poor people don't have that problem. It's just the taxpayers that do. And I don't know what to tell. I get it. In fact, looking down the line, I'll probably be in the same boat. I've got 2 kids in their mid-20s, and one of them lives in BC, one of them lives in the States. And that's great that they're working, but unless they go to the States, they won't be able to afford a home here. So what does that mean? I got to take care of them forever?
Yeah.
I love being a dad, so I would love that, actually. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
But it's not good for them. They need to get out on their own, and it's just too hard to do right now. Yeah, I don't know what you asked a DM that I don't know how to answer. Thank you.
You're
Congratulations.
welcome. Well, Diane is similar to that one by Rochelle, so be prepared. It says, OMG, Scott, I had to pause the podcast just to comment on the part about older kids staying at home. Hubby and I are 55 years old. We have 3 kids. 2 are still at home. The deal has always been stay at home for free while still in school, university, or college. However, with the price of food, utilities, etc., it's making our financial situation very difficult.
Yeah.
We will continue to honor the deal. Our youngest has 1 more year of high school and then plans on going away for college, and our other daughter has 1 more year to complete her degree. We plan on selling our home next year and moving elsewhere cheaper. Now my university girl wants her master's and doesn't want us to move so that she can stay here. We're very proud of our kids, but the work hours we put in to live here are causing us stress and health issues that I believe our kids don't understand. We feel extreme guilt for pushing them out in a year. I feel like an a-hole. I try not to use the phrase when I was your age because I know times are different, but I remember desperately wanting to leave the home at 18. Our oldest daughter did, but our younger ones think it's a free ride. Once again, very proud of their school accomplishments. I feel trapped by the situation. I know 55 is not old, but can't work the hours we used to anymore. Really sad about the state of the middle class these days.
Okay, 2 in a row that I can't answer. I
know.
I'd love for you to send that to Mark Carney. I don't think he cares. I'd love for you to send that to Jagmeet Singh. Hey, look what you did, you prick. I don't think he cares. Send it to your member of parliament. I don't think they care. Like, nobody cares about us, the middle class. We're just the ones giving them the money, and then they're doing whatever they want with it. This is a real problem that needs real solutions, and nobody is talking about it. Nothing government has proposed is going to solve that problem, not in the short term. And it's sad as hell. You wonder why there's some who are astounded. Why would anyone want to go to America right now? People just like that. Just like that. Because there's hope and there's prosperity there. There's jobs there. There's not here. Canada ain't it anymore. It's sad to say that. I don't feel that connected to Canada right now. I really don't. I'm seeing the media is really trying to push this Canada Day is extra special because of the threats of annexation from Donald Trump, and Canadians are going to show off their pride. I don't think most of the middle class is feeling that pride right now. I don't think they're feeling very patriotic right now because our situation is so bad. You just heard 2 emails in a row or DMs in a row from people in the exact same situation that they don't know what to do with these adult kids that are in their house. Yeah, they want to be a parent, support their kid in every way, but at some point there's only so much money in the bank and you got to cash out your equity on that house. I'm sure there's a lot of people looking at this real estate market right now thinking, if I don't sell right now, I'm going to be here for 30 more years. Because the housing market is just going to go in such a bad way that people will be underwater on their mortgage.
Oh, It's just overwhelming. It's staggering. I read something now. If you want to buy a home, the average age to buy their first home is 55.
That's the median age to buy a home right now in Canada.
55.
55 years old is the median, meaning half of the homes that are sold now are by people 55 plus.
It's wild.
The number used to be 31.
Yeah.
Now it's 54. Again, I'd love to get Mark Carney sitting right where you are, and I'd like to give him that number and say, what would you advise Canadians to do? He doesn't have an answer. He's going to give you some smoke show about we're building houses and increasing supply and blah, blah, blah. That 1% tax cut that worked out to what? Was it $26 a month? Less than $1 a day?
Yeah, it was less than $1 a day.
People were actually excited about getting a tax cut, but nobody did the math before the election. It's only $26. What are we going to do with that? That's not even a coffee a day.
No.
It's terrible. Just terrible.
We're going to lighten things up for the next few, all right? Because those are tough ones, and I feel for everybody. Oh, my gosh. Okay, Jason, we're going to start off a little explicit. Morning, two things. Could you explain why cause there a war on gas? Why is there a cause on the war on gas and has to go up in price? It's BS. It makes no sense. So he's concerned about why the price is up on gas. I'm taking from that from Jason.
There was conflict in the Middle East. That's why.
And second, I know you're going to talk about my apartment. I got there at 9 p.m. and stayed the whole time, right up until the music stopped at 2:45. I haven't done that in years. Was fun. And that was Jason. He had a good time at my apartment.
I met Jason. I remember him. Jason, great to see you. Thank you for coming out. Really nice to meet people that listen to the pod. I mean, I meet radio listeners all the time, and that'll never get old. I will never take that for granted, meeting somebody who listens to me on the radio. Podcast, it's still new to meet the podcast listeners because I haven't done any appearances since I started it.
Yeah.
Being able to meet people that say, I love your podcast. That means a lot. Thank you, Jason.
Oh my gosh, we have to let me know, DM me how we can get Scott out there so he can meet his DM listeners, his podcast listeners. That's great. We gotta think of that.
People have asked me before, will you ever do a live one?
Oh, yes, you should.
Oh, I'm working on it. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry.
Okay, I got real excited there. All right, so next up we have Jay. Hey, Scott, enjoy your vacation. You deserve it. I really am enjoying the dynamic between you and Anna. I find she will jump in and disagree with you, and you hear her in a debate kind of manner. Love it. Keep it up. That's from Jay.
Thank you, Jay. Love it. Good feedback.
Yeah. Next up, this is the final one for today. Davey, Scott, you have to give the people an update on Stifler's mom before you go on vacay.
I gave you a little bit earlier. A little bit. They're scheduled to get together this weekend. I don't know if they're actually going to or not because of something in particular. But by next week when I return on Monday, July 7th, I should have a very good update for you.
They have not gone to Vegas yet.
No, actually, they haven't gone to Vegas yet, but it's planned.
Oh my gosh, we got to wait till July 7th? Ugh. All right, well, at least we know they haven't gone to Vegas and something's in the works. Okay, that'll hold me over.
If you were going to Vegas with a new partner,
yes,
and they had friends in Vegas that they wanted to meet up with, is that okay?
Yeah, I'd be happy to meet them.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I like meeting new parents. It allows me to get to know who I'm with better because it's by association, the people you keep, you know?
Okay. Good. I just wanted to know.
Oh, there's something behind that. All right. Oh, July 7th can't come quick enough, but you deserve a great week off. Before we wrap things up, I just want to know, do you have anything planned, Scott?
I'm working a lot. I still, I don't know if I've talked about it much on the pod, but for those who don't know, the station that we work at, Light 92.1, is also owned by the same company that owns Z1035. And you may have heard me back on Z1035 from time to time. So I'm filling in a little bit there because they're a little short-staffed, and I'm happy to do that because, well, I worked at Z103 for 20 years, and I love that place. It's still my home, and the people there are my brothers and sisters. And I'm glad to be part of the team. Even though I'm Team Light 92.1, it's still neat to be back on Z. Being a long weekend, they need extra help. So I'm going to be on Z a couple of times this weekend. And I really don't mind working on the long weekend because, A, you deserve some time off. So you're going to take a 4-day weekend.
I am, thank you. Spending time with the family from the U.S. Yes, thank you.
And then I bet you're happy they're going.
On Monday.
Bye.
But not counting. But yeah.
So I am going to be working through most of the weekend. Tomorrow I've got my friend coming over. We're going to talk conspiracy theories. I'm excited to learn more. And then I got to figure out how to filter it so I don't bring all that unconfirmed stuff onto the pod, which I try not to do. I know this episode went a little sideways with conspiracy theories, but I typically try not to do that. But I'm very interested in hearing what he has to say. I do have a family thing with the in-laws coming up this weekend.
Nice.
Funny. if you buy a pizza oven, people like to come over a lot. So
if you build it, they will come. There you go.
How does this sound? This was my offer to the in-laws. I said, okay, listen, Canada Day weekend, I'll have the pool at 90. I will have pizzas going nonstop all day. We're just going to keep putting in pizzas all day long through the oven. And I got a keg of Peroni. Sounds good, right?
Well, call me Italian. I'll be there too.
Well, unfortunately, we don't let Portuguese people at these events. No, I'm kidding.
He's kidding. I know, but man, that sounds like a good-ass time.
Yeah, I thought it was a good time. It's a pretty good offer. If somebody said
Holy.
nonstop pizzas, fresh keg of Peroni, pool's 90, come on over. Yeah, like right now,
Start
I'm going to come
the car.
over. No, you know what else I'm looking forward to, though, is I haven't seen my girlfriend much. She works in education. I think everybody who listens knows that. And it's been one hell of a school year. Not for any reason in particular. It's not like they had to deal with COVID and starts and stops and all that sort of thing. Maybe it's just the process of getting back to normal. But it's been a hell of a year for all of the people in education. I mean, it's just, I know what they deal with on an intimate level. And I miss my girlfriend. I haven't seen her in ages. One night she's got to go to grad, and then another night it's a first communion thing, and another night it's confession, and she's been out a lot, meetings at the board, and all this sort of stuff. So I'm looking forward to spending a little bit of time with the girl that I care about the most, next to my daughter, this weekend. So I'm going to intentionally disconnect a little bit when I'm not working, and I want to spend some time with, in my estimation, the greatest girl in the world.
I just want somebody to talk about me like that one day.
And someone will, Anna. Someone will.
I can't wait to hear about your dates, too. You guys deserve that time together. Work hard, play hard, and I hope you do.
We're middle-class Canadians. We can't afford to date. So that's why we got a keg of Peroni and a pizza oven. We stay home now.
Hey, man, that sounds like the better time to me if you ask anybody. That's a sweet gig.
Have a great weekend, Anna.
Thank you. I just waved. You can't see this, but I waved, so thank you so much. You too.
And happy Canada Day, everybody. I know that we're a little down on Canada right now. A lot of people are, including myself, but it's still an amazing country. The promise is still there. The hope is still there that things will turn around, and just hope for brighter days ahead. Yeah. Let's try and enjoy this one a little bit. Make it special. And if Canada's not what you're celebrating, then make it about the people around you that you care about the most. I'll see you on Monday, July the 7th. Until then, go back and listen to the archives or take a break yourself. I'll see you in about a week. I'll leave you with the sounds of Pat James and The Whole Truth as well. I got to throw in a plug for Patty. He's great, by the way. I'm so appreciative that he let me use this song as a theme for the pod. This is Hey Now. See you in a week. Oh.